My name is Christy Kinzer, and let's dive into coaching for character. First off, we need to define character. It's teaching young people the knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, skills, and behaviors to be a good, fair, kind, in a word, moral people. It's who you are in the dark, knowing what's right, desiring to do what's right, and doing what's right. And character determines how we respond to life events, so it's often seen in actions. We need to define good sportsmanship in the context of character. So sportsmanship is simply applying good character in the sports context. As you can see, left versus right, one is showing great character and one is not. So this leads us to the research question: what is the best method for coaches to teach good sportsmanship? First of all, we need to know why we need to coach for character and sportsmanship. It's an inherent part of our job. This comes straight from our textbook. Once you accept the role of coach, you are a character educator. We spend more face time with our athletes than they do probably with their parents and teachers and other people in their lives. So we really can't shirk this responsibility. Otherwise, they most likely won't get good education on sportsmanship. It's a part of building team culture, and we talked about that in the last chapter. And the book identifies the declining of sportsmanship in society and identifies 4 different reasons. I'm sure there are more, but they talk about the breakdown of the nuclear family. There's a lack of modeling from examples for kids from their parents who might be single parents and working. There's a lack of ethics and morality education in school with the focus on systematic testing. We lack education on conflict management and resolution and emotional management and self-management. There's decreased religious involvement, which religious institutions usually are who introduce these concepts of morality. And crime and drug abuse statistics are still quite high, even though they're declining. So there is a huge need for character and sportsmanship education. Here are some startling statistics from the National Officiating Survey. Over 17,000 referees were surveyed in the spring and summer of 2017, and officials actually identified parents as the number one source of poor sportsmanship. Coaches were second, and then players were last. And 64% of those surveyed had to eject a spectator due to poor sportsmanship, so it is obviously a problem. So here is my first answer to the question. We need to know predictors of poor sportsmanship and prevent these risk factors. So this is an upstream approach. The research findings from Shields et al., basically the purpose of their study was to look at personal and societal factors that predicted poor sportsmanship in youth participants. There were male and female athletes in 5th to 8th grade, and over 600 were surveyed. They represented football, lacrosse, basketball, soccer, hockey, baseball, and softball teams. And the results from this survey showed that perceived behaviors of coaches and spectators actually were the highest predictors of the athlete's own attitudes and sportsmanship. So they take cues from the external environment more than their internal environment. And it's the coach's behavior, so how they actually act, rather than what they talk. So you need to practice what you preach, because that matters most to athletes. So as a coach, if you want to have a positive influence, you need to hold yourself to high standards of professional and ethical behavior. This is an example of poor sportsmanship. This is the famous Bobby Knight, IU basketball coach, who threw a chair during a game. And for practical applications from this, we as coaches need to model treating officials and opponents with respect, as well as our own players, because eyes are watching. Answer number 2, we need to set expectations and hold parents accountable. So this is a lot of work on the coach. And from the True Sports site, they collect a lot of educational materials and research, as well as conduct anti-bullying campaigns. And they give 2 ways to improve sportsmanship. We set expectations, so we need to communicate purpose and philosophy both to the athletes and the parents. If they don't know what the goals are, such as if it's a developmental league, they might put undue pressure and expectations on themselves, and it's mostly coming from the parents. So we need to emphasize the process. Most parents think their kids are more skilled than they are and get very upset when they don't perform a skill perfectly, which is not our expectations as coaches. We need to hold parents accountable to this, and we can ask the officials to eject them if necessary because coaches do not typically have that power. So practical applications: hold a parent meeting, start the season off right, share your vision, let them know that they are valuable in this, but they are parents and their role is not the coach or to be an official. They need to be respectful and support their athletes. And you can do regular communication throughout the season about this. Last answer is teach from the 6 C's model. And this is tried and true. This comes directly from the researcher, Dr. Richard Lerner. He did an 8-year study of 4,000 teens from 25 states. And the results from his survey were that he identified 6 characteristics of teen behavior that are proven to foster positive development in a youth setting. So these 6 C's are competence, confidence, connection, character, caring, contribution. This is a visual of what these are and definitions, and I'll go into those in more detail. So competence refers to your ability to be effective in specific areas. We are going to focus on competence in sports. So as you can see, my team up in the right-hand corner, they're giving each other peer feedback because I can't see everybody and give them all feedback, but I provide opportunities called Swim IQ Days, where I teach them lots of skills, show them videos, hop in and demonstrate, and then they get to evaluate each other while I evaluate them as well. Confidence. We need to instill in them that they have the capacity to succeed, and that includes setting goals and going for them, a sense of self-worth and mastery. So practical applications, you can keep track of their progress, their times throughout the year, their stats, and we have lots of opportunities throughout training of test sets, and they continue to improve throughout the season. And we reward good behaviors and instill confidence by rewarding swimmer of the meet and practicer of the week swim caps that they get to wear the whole week. Connection is very important. We do a lot of team bonding activities because that teaches you how to treat people well and respect each other. We plan regular team bonding activities each month. We also do service projects. We have lots of traditions, meals together, and camping trips. Character is taking responsibility for yourself and respect for societal values. So we have team rules of conduct, especially with conflict management. We do all conflict management face-to-face with the direct source, off to the side, not in front of everybody. We also have lots of teaching moments in the moment, and we have tear down and clean up duties for each grade that they are held to. Caring and compassion, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's a sense of sympathy and empathy for others, and we can provide those opportunities, but most often they will pick this up themselves and love on each other as teammates. You can do mission trips together, serve downtown. We do group sharing and affirmation, so we talk about our struggles and lies that we're believing about ourselves and fears, and then the rest of the team will affirm them and say how they see them and how much they love them. So that helps with our girls team. And then the last one is contribution. Everyone needs to feel like they're an active participant in decision-making and actions. I allow my swimmers to tell me what they would like to swim, and they're involved in the lineup, but I do have the final say. I hold them accountable to their goals, and we have regular meetings, and in practice I will call them out if they're not practicing to that standard, but in a loving way. And I make sure everyone knows that they matter and have a role no matter how fast or slow they are. So in summary, coaches should model good sportsmanship and practice what they preach. Young athletes are influenced by external factors, so we should control those as much as possible, set expectations for parents, and teach from the 6 C's model. So my discussion questions are more of a case study. This is in reference to last year during my first year as head coach of Meadow and Hackett Girls High School Swimming. I had to miss most away meets on Tuesday nights due to night class. My capable and qualified assistant coach took the lead on these nights. During our meet against our biggest rival, an official missed a blatant false start for the home team. The girl won the event, and their coach knew she should have been disqualified. My assistant coach approached the official to ask if that girl was disqualified, and the official said no. She then cussed at the official loudly enough for our parents and spectators to hear. The meet continued on, and we lost. I got a phone call later that night after class from a parent who was upset by how our coach handled the situation. Question 1. How would you as the head coach confront the assistant coach? And what would be an appropriate disciplinary action? And how would you use this teachable moment to educate your athletes?